and we're actually going to talk about the Andrew Tate little controversy that occurred. Okay, so there's many, developments, updates that we could cover in relation to Tate, the Tate brothers, Sneako and Aiden Ross's involvement with Tate and the Tate brothers. But the thing that I want to highlight today was a little friction, a little static that occurred on stream where I guess a leftist type actually got the opportunity to kind of confront Tate. And I don't really know the full context, okay? All I know is that Aiden Ross was hosting a stream with Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, and they hosted some kind of a debate between Nick Fuentes and this like lefty guy. The guy, I believe, then kind of crashed in on a conversation while Tate was there, semi-confronted Tate, and Tate basically was just like, fuck off, I don't want to talk to this fucking guy. You know what I mean? Expressing, yeah, some could interpret it as fucking fear, some will interpret it as, just like doing the manly thing, not talking to these fucking leftists. At the end of the day, yeah, it's not that huge of a controversy, but it's interesting to explore. First thing I want to do, though, nice little palate cleanser. Our boy Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate's brother, okay? Some position Tristan as the more moderate brother. I would definitely encourage you to fucking reevaluate that statement, but unpopular fact, no man who spends money on an e-girl or porn was scammed. Aren't men accountable for their own bad habits? Was I scammed when I bought that $900 Euro cigar? Was I scammed when I bought that $7,500 Euro bottle of wine? 7,500 Euro bottle of wine. Grow up. And so this is him basically retaliating against the people who consistently call both Tristan and Andrew scammers for the fact, this is a fact, an unpopular fact among these types, these guys, a fact that they actually did accrue the vast majority of their initial wealth off of cam sites, right? Where they employed the lover boy method, which means that they made women fall in love with them, usually young women who did not have a lot of money of their own, who did not have much prospects. The Tate brothers, their claim to fame is that they would make these women fall in love with them. They would fly them out to their fucking compound, okay? And they would isolate them from their friends, family, become their employers, their lovers, and their landlords, okay? Have almost complete control over these women and basically use them, leverage them, exploit them to exploit or, siphon funds from simps online, okay? That was the entire thing. Andrew's gone on record bragging about the fact that he would be messaging with the simps, as he says himself, who would be hitting on the women who he was dating, right? Like, he was dating them. Andrew would be messaging them, pretending to be the girl, basically turning them on and making them feel, really seen. So, this was his whole masquerade, his charade, his shtick, basically, that got him his first millions. And then he evolved to the point where he basically made courses where he would self-report on all of the, in some cases, allegedly criminal, lover boy method, fly them out to your compound to do sex work. There's a word or a term for that. But yes, he would self-report on these courses where he basically would reveal some of the more criminal or just manipulative, I guess you could say, elements of how he conducted his business. And then, of course, now that he's gained massive popularity, he has stopped bragging about, this old scheme that he used to do, and he tries to clean up his image a lot. It's up to you to decide if he succeeded at that. But CoffeeZilla, friend of the channel, okay? We're coffee fans here. CoffeeZilla points out to Tristan Tate, he responds, popular fact, your brother brags about scamming guys with e-girls. You're a clown. And so here's that clip.
We're promising. You gotta lie to him. You gotta lie to him. She's like, lie and say what? Sell the dream, sell the dream, sell the dream. We got to the point where we had these guys falling in love with my models. Serious, big time in love, right?
You have to keep in mind that he was dating these models, at least according to himself. Right, so these guys falling in love with his girls, right?
Sending crazy money, and they were convinced they were going to meet the chick. We're promising all these meetings, all these pictures outside of embassies, all this shit.
This is a scam, right? He's lying to them, promising that they'll be able to meet the women with no intention of actually having these guys meet the women. That sounds like a pretty blatant scam. And so there's two possibilities here. It's that, actually, guess what? You were scamming the fucking guys, right? Or the other possibility is that Andrew Tate thought it was so cool before he blew up massively that he made his initial money, his initial capital off of fucking scamming simps, that he accentuated his story to make it sound in his head cooler by lying and adding the fact that, oh yeah, we actually fucking scam these guys. I'm such a good scammer. I'm such a Machiavellian genius that I will reveal my plot in front of thousands and thousands of people and sell courses on exactly how I committed these acts. But let's see. Oh, by the way, just so you know where I stand, okay? Was it 1 or 2? Did they scam these guys, or is he just lying to accentuate it? I think they did, because in his courses, he goes into great detail, if you've ever seen them. He goes into great detail on how he has successfully scammed a number of people, okay? Including his landlords. He just basically has tutorials on how he would just not pay his landlords. Hey, okay, whatever. But, of course, the clients are also people he would talk about scamming, so.
Eventually, the girl, what she would do is she'd say, oh, I don't want to go embassy. She'd give a really lame excuse to try and provoke the man to get angry. So she'd say, the embassy want me to come back, but I have a headache. That was the one we'd use. He'd be like, I just sent you $1 million. You promised you were going to come. You said you had to delay. Now you're saying you have a headache and you won't go to your appointment. To make him mad on purpose, because that would annoy any man. And he'd get furious because we were really good at
playing both sides.
Poking him to the point where he'd go like, you're a scammer, you scam me, get really mad.
Like, what's the strategy? Is it just to make them feel more emotionally invested in this woman? It's a good question. I'm not sure. I think this is unfair to the clowns, given that some of them bring joy to the world. That's funny. Yeah, and so just wanted to give you a quick little history lesson there on Tate before we jump into this recent stream interaction, okay? This debate, apparently that happened between Dean Withers, okay? That's the lefty archetype man who is the contender here. Dean Withers and Andrew Tate. So first I'll show you the kind of confrontation or clip that happened, which is presented right here, okay? One moment. So there's two sides to this. There's Dean Withers' side, and then there's Tate's side. And it's been interesting to see the way that it's been interpreted, because guess what? On the Tate side, they basically just say like, fuck you, this is a W. I don't give a shit. I'm not talking to a fucking soy boy, simp, idiot, loser. You know what I mean? And then on the Dean Withers side, it's like, yeah, you stuck it up to the head of the CEO of toxic masculinity, dude. W. And so here we go. Let's see.
Lost $1 million, lost in court.
Did you just say that there's no other reason to hate, not vote for Donald Trump, apart from the fact that he's a man?
I have no idea who these liberals are going to break down.
I have no idea who these liberals are.
Know these people, and I couldn't give less of a... There's no chicks allowed at this table. It's the He-Man Club. If you want to keep the chick, I'll go have my coffee. What do you want to do? Thanks. See you, loser.
So yeah, basically he just writes it off and he's like, I'm not fucking talking to this loser. And from their side, it's like, oh, that was a W. I mean, in reality, it's just obvious. Like, he does not want to engage with that fucking guy. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of fear, maybe. He understands that, like, this is kind of a bad position for him to be in, to fucking have to debate this guy. But at the same time, yeah, he probably just didn't want to fucking debate. You know what I mean? Anyway, just so that you guys know, this does go kind of crazy. I'll show you from Dean Withers' perspective what this went down as, right? Because that Tate clip added obviously a lot of, you could say, fluff. Here, one sec. Let's find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here it is. Here's Dean Withers kind of rating Tate's stream here.
I've got this photo. Here's the CCTV. It was.
Did you just say that there's no other reason to hate, not vote for Donald Trump, apart from the fact that he's a man? Like, maybe I don't support Donald Trump because he's... Maybe I don't...
Who Who put this book on? Was it Aiden?
It was Nick Fuentes. You think I'm sitting right here?
You put him on.
I'm kidding.
Maybe I don't support Donald
Sneako.
Trump.
Let's lose
Because he
the
sexualized
nerve.
little girls.
No, this is kind of funny.
Dean Withers said, maybe I don't support Donald Trump because he sexualizes little girls. I don't know what that accusation's based on. I haven't seen that, but
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Maybe I don't support
Sneako.
Donald Trump
Let's lose
because he
the nerve.
sexualized little girls.
No, this is kind of funny.
If you
I can't
want to do
lie.
a debate with the nerd, you can do it. You guys can enjoy it. But I'd rather lose the nerd and just talk knowing I'm right. It's better. So we're going to keep him here or not?
Bro, if
So you're
you,
a fan of
bro,
Echo Chamber.
There's no
that's
chicks
weird.
allowed at this table.
What did he say?
You're a fan of
Bro,
Echo Chamber.
that-
Oh, Dean Withers said, so you're a fan of echo chambers. And yes, he is. Absolutely. Andrew Tate wants to keep his world insulated, of course. He wants to have control over who he talks to, who confronts him, what the narrative is. He would much rather deal with these mainstream journalists, you know, who are not actually that well informed, who don't know really who the fuck they're dealing with, who he can, you know, basically paint correctly kind of as NPCs or whatever you'd say. But yeah, I don't know this Dean Withers guy. He, from what I understand, is pretty young, and I'm not sure about his awareness of Tate. I'm not sure what his angle is exactly. Tate seems to think he's a liberal. I don't know if he's a liberal or a leftist. I do think those are different for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have much frame of reference for this Dean Withers guy, but clearly Tate is a little bit threatened by him.
No
That's
chicks
weird.
allowed at this table.
No
So the
dorks
He-Man-
allowed. No dorks allowed at this table. Okay.
It's the He-Man Club.
Okay, so I have
So
a penis
it's-
with X,
Yeah,
Y chromosomes.
that's
So
weird.
a man is
Keep
something
moving.
other than a penis with X, Y
I'll
chromosomes?
go off my coffee.
All right, just
What do you wanna do?
now, then we'll add him back if Tate wants to debate another time.
Thanks. See you, loser.
Okay. So that's pretty much the confrontation. Now, what happened after was a little bit chaotic, okay? So from what I understand, the Dean Withers guy debated Fuentes on Aiden Ross's stream with Sneako. This is all the characters, all the fucking characters that we've all come to know and love are combining here. And so let's see what exactly is
What do you say?
being cooked on. What the fuck was this interview or this debate with Fuentes? I'm kind of fascinated. Is Christian nationalism good?
It's wrong.
Interesting.
What do you
very
say,
good.
all things considered, that the Holocaust is wrong?
If it were real, yes. Yeah.
Oh my
absolutely.
God,
It is, and it is. And it absolutely
you're
is.
so fucking spineless. How the fuck can you sit in front of 45,000 people and say that the most
Oy
well-documented thing that has ever
Is
happened
it?
in history might not have happened? I want to ask you a question. How the fuck do you know that Jesus resurrected from the dead, but you don't know if the Holocaust happened?
Shroud
Please
of
answer that
Turin.
question.
Shroud of Turin. Shroud of
Shroud of Turin, that's been taken by
100%.
the Shroud of Turin is a more reliable standard for evidence than the 250
Than the thing
independent
that
sources
didn't
that would
happen?
justify that the Holocaust exists.
Listen, this isn't a
Wait,
debate.
also
Let's
there's-
try.
Okay, yeah, that's insane. Questioning whether the Holocaust happened or didn't happen is kind of fucking insane. It happened, okay? The usual tactic of guys like fucking Fuentes is to like get into like the nitty gritty about it, like, oh, the number, 6 million. It's like they'll start by questioning that. But at the end of the day, like, they actually do peddle the true position that like it just didn't happen. It's a fucking complete hoax, you know what I mean? And that's just not fucking true. That is, it happened, Whatever you want to say about the numbers, the fucking specifics, yeah, that fucking happened. Now, the thing that I would say about the Holocaust that's almost more sinister, right, is like, from what I understand at the very least, it's that the mass, complete extermination, like proper true extermination, the Holocaust part of it, didn't fully commence until it was almost obvious that Germany was losing the war. And so that's sinister because it kind of shows basically that upon seeing that they were losing, they basically viewed it as a net benefit to begin exterminating these people instead of, keeping them on as, labor, because I believe the camps began as fucking labor camps. And what that shows to me is that, yes, okay, obviously, and it seems like an obvious observation, but like, what if the fourth guy, the fucking regime was abso-fucking-lutely lost in the fucking sauce? They totally believed that they were bringing some kind of divine fucking manifestation of, their religious beliefs. They thought that they were in the right. Felt like they were justified, and the mission from the top was just fucking drenched in a deep fucking resentment. You know what I mean? A deep, deep resentment. It was almost a self-report on the fact that it was never about doing what was best for Germany. It was about extermination. It was about basically manifesting a fucking deep resentment and dominating, right? Like trying to impose your will on people in a fucking real harsh way. It's interesting. It's fascinating when people like fucking Fuentes. It's like it's funny because I understand why he has a following, because it's like to hear someone authentically questioning these things, it's like so abrasive, it's so offensive, or so like out there that it's like, of course it can be perceived as fucking funny. You know what I mean? It's like that's the thing, like shocking shit sells on the internet because there's so much content that it's hard to even give a shit about anything that's not just like brutally standing away from the fucking standard deviation. Anyway, so Dean Withers goes on. He says, I have had Christian swarming my account since my debate with Fuentes. Question, what race was Jesus? And yeah, I mean, Jesus was Jewish. That's just a fact. Remember when Donald Trump tried to rig the 2020 election by installing fake votes for himself in Congress? Country over party, Kamala 2024. I've had thousands of white supremacists swarming my account, get mogged. Okay, so he's showing basically that he has muscles. Respect. They'll be having muscles, okay? I think that's a good frame to come at these guys with, because they are the dorks, but, you know, I get it. Watch me school Nick Fuentes on tariffs.
Okay, we see an increase in domestic production given tariffs because that is passed off to the consumer. Would you agree there?
No, absolutely not.
If they don't cause inflation of the pricing of goods at the grocery store, then why would we see an increase in domestic production?
Because it will make it competitive for America to make the same things.
How?
If China, because it's basic math. If it costs I'm going to, if you stop interrupting me. If it costs less to make something in China because they have abundant labor than it does in the United States, then China can sell it at a lower price because their cost is lower. But if we make them pay more to bring their goods to the
then that amount that they're paying more of would get passed on to the consumer
market, then they have to sell it for more, or they have to pay the tariff and they make less profit. And that makes it profitable. China pays the cost to bring it to the market, not the consumer.
And who pays the cost once it's in the market?
Well, the consumer does.
Right. Okay. So he basically is just talking Fuentes in circles. I mean, look, I've consumed like a decent amount of peripheral Nick fucking Fuentes content because this motherfucker seems to just attract a lot of the other guys in this space. Okay. This is the weird thing that I've realized, is that it's not just Sneako who's like oddly, you know, attracted to fucking Nick Fuentes. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, fucking Aiden Ross. A lot of these guys really get entertained by Nick Fuentes. And again, I get it, but these are fucking adult men, right? And when you go to Andrew Tate's fucking Twitter feed and you see that he's reposting speeches from our good fucking friend, right? Like a signal boost basically of an actual unironic fucking speech. I think you start to see that, yeah, Tate, he's not exactly as fucking free of a thinker as you would imagine him to be, right? He's also pretty strongly stuck in the fucking sauce. He is caught up in the pandemonium. And at the end of the day, yeah, he thinks it's funny. He definitely partially thinks it's funny. But here's the thing. With guys like this, they're so trapped within the fucking online sphere. Because this is the thing you need to understand. As much as they posture and pretend, the Tate brothers are very fucking online. Very fucking online. Just look at how much they tweet. You don't think their tweets are actually them tweeting? Sure, okay. But look how much content they fucking put out. They do spend a fuckload of time producing content. That's their primary income source. They make content so they can peddle courses. That's how it works. They're very fucking online. As much as they want to pretend they have this larger life outside of it. Not really. Not really. They often opine about how much they fucking work and how many videos they make and all this shit. And yeah, I mean, when you're at the point where you're retweeting fucking speeches in a positive light, I mean, yeah. It's interesting. There's a few other fucking influencers, like unironic, right? Like I don't use that word. I don't label people that unless they are that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who will be too quick to label people that. There are Nazi influencers, okay, who have done exactly this, and I'm pretty confident that this is actually a repost of a guy who got suspended, from X on Elon's watch, and then he got put back. But Lucas Gage, name of like a fucking guy, he was doing the same shit. He was basically endorsing, these speeches. And of course, that's a guy that Sneako had on his fucking stream. They had a little amicable conversation about it. And the conversation was very much centered around, obviously, Jewish conspiracies, right? Now, the problem and the seductive element to these guys, right? And this is what you need to keep in mind with Fuentes, fucking Tate, and all these, especially the more like true neo-Nazi types, is that they sprinkle in small elements of coherence, okay? Like there's logical paths that they follow, but within those paths, they are putting so much poison. There's so much poison that they're fucking injecting. But if you just keep going with the logical frame and you don't have any outside information to identify the poison, it can seem coherent and they can seem very intelligent and well-read and all this shit, and it's seductive. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Don't fucking fall for it. That's all I'll say. If you think that Andrew Tate is out here looking at any fucking history at all, actually studying any kind of fucking history, especially any kind of history related to fucking regime, you're sadly mistaken, okay? When it comes to a guy like Fuentes, he's a little bit, deeper into this rabbit hole, but you see it right there. I mean, he's got a lot of blind spots, right? And one of them being clearly the economy to a degree. Among many other things, his history is also definitely not up to par from what I've seen. Tate, after that little confrontation, Tate seemed to have tweeted about unfazed Tate doesn't give a fuck about these soy boy lefties. You're not qualified to an opinion when you're easy to kill. Keep your gay talking points. Nobody gives a fuck what the bitch dude thinks. Okay, I see. And so it's basically like a chat edit of Tate kicking him, or Aiden Ross, whatever. And then Dean Withers says ratio nerd, gets fucking 50k likes, which does ratio him. Who gives a shit? I don't care. But the interesting thing is that, yeah, Tate was definitely not unaffected. Gobert Tate couldn't traffic the likes in and got ratioed. Who cares? People are saying I'm botting likes. Who cares, dude? I find it interesting how the party of law and order is voting for a felon. Okay. To be honest, I've been cooking lately. Damn. Okay, so yeah, this is where this shit gets so fucking crazy. Terminally online, just wild to me. Is that Nick Fuentes' fucking fan base engages in a classic cancel culture maneuver. What would that be? You might be asking. Well, it's pretty simple. They go and they dig into Dean Withers' past or whatever, and they pull up a bunch of dirt. And apparently that dirt was basically that he said slurs about 2 to 4 years ago. And so, yeah, Dean Withers basically apologizes, from what I can tell, for saying slurs. And he gets a Groiper commenting. He says, wow, do better. Apologies not accepted, by the way. Accepted. That's fucking stupid. Your hatred for minorities is revolting. As a longtime fan, I'm ashamed of this. Okay, that's the guy trolling him. You can view this however the fuck you want to view it. At the end of the day, you kind of giving the trolls a W, in my opinion. I'm sure that he literally states that he already apologized for this. It is what it is. That's just a classic counter cancel culture fucking move. As much as, Nick Fuentes' supporters want to pretend like cancel culture is only on the left. No, it's actually very quickly weaponized by either fucking side, and the right often will quickly do it, despite constantly opining about cancel culture and all this shit. They'll quickly do it when the opportunity presents itself. Yeah, okay, so Bryce Hall seems to be the one who exposed this guy to a degree as well, with some DMs that they had together or something like that. He also posted some fake fucking screenshots, apparently. Main account in 2024. this is fake. You can verify this by clicking on my account. What does this say about the socio-political climate of the online sphere? Not really too much to me. Andrew Tate to me just kind of becomes less and less interesting, less and less certainly cool, and yeah, less and less coherent as time goes on. He is embracing an arc, I can tell, where he's kind of saying shocking shit so that he can continue to see his Twitter engagement at high numbers. You know what I mean? He's clearly dopamine addicted to a certain extent, addicted to the attention as you need to be to garner as big a following as he fucking has. And at the end of the day, there's really not much to gain at this point for me by analyzing Tate. But hopefully there's something for you to gain by listening to me opine about this. Yeah, every fucking day, just tons and tons of posts. The problem with girl boss is that their success is 0% grounded in any form of reality or achievement. Girl boss success is grounded in being an arrogant, deluded, sarcastic. Yeah, but see, this is just false. Instantly just false. Because it's like, the real problem with girl boss culture or whatever is just that it's not that the women are not actually competent. It's that they are actually competent. But it's like, you're glorifying a fucking a culture of like hyper hustle. You know what I mean? It's basically like you add girl boss and it sounds empowering, right? But what you're really elevating is just like basically alienation. You hustle, or if you're an actual boss, you know, you are garnering only relationships with people who are advantageous to you, only transactional relationships, which is something that Sneako's advocated for in the past. You should only have relationships that are transactional. Yeah, you fucking dumb fuck. That is false, okay? Of course, there are transactions that occur within relationships, but you do not want the vast majority of relationships to be inherently transactional, okay? You want to seek out friends who care about you, respect you, love you, potentially, which means that they're willing basically to empower you and no benefit to themselves. That's, in my view, that's an expression of love, okay? You want to seek out these kinds of relationships because they will stand the fucking test of time. If you have an actual problem, if you have a dark time, if anything bad happens to you, these will be people who will actually fucking stand with you. So yeah, the problem with girl boss is not that their success is 0% grounded in reality. It's that it kind of sells a fucking vision, you know? It sells a dreamy identity, right? Of someone who's in control. But in reality, a lot of that control is very fucking shallow, right? I mean, I'm sure that Tate basically used girl boss-esque language when he was convincing his girls that they should work for him in his cam studio. In fact, I've seen many times on X.com, OnlyFans, they have advertising on X, on Twitter, whatever. And they literally position it as girl boss shit, right? Like entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur and all this stuff. And it's like, there's a little bit of a sinister element to that, right? Exploit yourself. Very Byung-Chul Han vibe, right? If you haven't seen One Dime's video on the Burnout Society, that's a good one to watch. It's about Gary Vee mainly, but the low IQ misogynist takes are not very compelling to me. It's also not that funny, but I understand that's subjective. Fucking meme edits advertising his crypto. That's tight.
Terrorists roll through with AKs. You're gonna stand there and be like,
yeah, I don't care. Oh yeah, there's our boy. That's all it is. They're giving off a fucking Lambo with Trump on it. He's really shilling this fucking coin. Jesus Christ. IG and TikTok have made a bunch of men super ambitious, harder working, and more knowledgeable than ever before, driven by the brutal winds of envy. It has made women more spoiled and entitled than okay. No way. This is wild. Sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with women because it feels good is gay. Oh, my pee-pee feels good. This is great. In fact, if you were 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. All that feel-good pee-pee sex and hardly any genetic legacy. Wow. That's crazy. Well, as a man who comes from a family of 5 boys, you know, I have a bit of a leg up. You came from a family of what? 3 children? Something like that? So you're calling your own father gay. Anyway, I don't need to stoop. It's just a stupid fucking post. What? New TV show. We get modern Western patriots to sit and watch translated speeches and try to find a single thing they disagree with. Oh man, it's almost like these fucking idiots are discovering the fact that Hitler largely lied to the fucking populace. That Hitler sold a fucking vision that did not manifest. That on numerous fucking occasions did not do what was in the interest of the vast majority of fucking Germans. Of course, the most fucking selfish, entitled pigs, resentful fucking weirdos are going to try and rally the base by talking about nationalism and how we have to strengthen our homeland and all this shit. People forget that beyond all, really was a politician. His gift was his speech, his charisma, whatever you would say. The sad fact is that a lot of the time, charisma, it's not backed by much. Here's another one. Prophecy and last speech. I repeat my prophecy. England will not only not be able to tame Bolshevism, but its own development will inevitably follow the curse of this degenerative disease. Democracies will not be able to get rid of the spirits that they themselves have summoned from the steeps of Asia. All the small European nations that capitulated in reliance on Allied promises are heading for total extinction. Whether this fate befalls them a little sooner or a little later is completely irrelevant. It is exclusively tactical considerations that cause the Kremlin to proceed immediately with brutality in one case and a little more cautiously in another. The end will always be the same. Yeah, so one of his last speeches, keep in mind that he was getting fucking crushed by the Soviet Union. And of course, yes, the American forces, and let's just say he had quite a lot of reasons to dislike the fucking Bolsheviks. And on top of that, England is far from a fucking communist state. Anybody who thinks that is pretty fucking deluded, pretty brutally deluded, or just unaware. But yeah, it's nice to see a guy with fucking 10 million followers, just casually retweeting some posts. Top G stands for giveaway. G stands for giveaway, bro. Jesus Christ. I think now is a good time for me to play the classic clip from the fucking Sneako video that I made, which I think it elucidates a little bit about my stance on Tate. A wise man who opened his eyes to the true nature of the world.
Daddy! I want to tell you something, my boy. Yes, Daddy?
Are you fucking kidding me? Really?
I have the biggest dick in the world. This girlfriend, I really like her, but she has these male friends. Make her choose. You are the friends. She's gonna fuck one of them.
Dude, I forgot my own video too. I don't even remember this shit.
Another man's dick tonight. If I let her out of my sight.
You think Tate is goofy? Who the fuck do you like? Who do you look up to?
I don't look up to anyone, bro.
You should have a role model.
Why?
Every man should have or else how do you act? How do you base your decisions?
On what I think is right? Who do you think acts right and who do you think acts wrong?
Someone like Tate.
You think Tate acts right?
Yeah.
Man, people who don't understand the appeal of Tate are so out of touch with what it's like to be a teenager. Tate lives the exact lifestyle that young kids have been programmed to desire since they were fucking born.
He's rich as fuck. He's a fucking kickboxing champion.
Fast cars, fast fortunes. I mean, hell, he's even having sex with the girls in these kids' classes.
You're Hall. So I messaged her. She's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a fuck. Know about me. 21, I don't care. If he were to start lying and saying, I'm fucking all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is in America. 18?
It's 18 usually. You get married at 16.
All right, in Romania, 16, sorry. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. And we met and we felt whatever, we're in love. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Bruh.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
Damn. It's crazy, bro. Before the blow up, these motherfuckers were bragging about fucking 17-year-olds. It's crazy. And just for context, right? Why were they bragging about this? It's because they were so deep in the trenches of the, deep red pill community, whatever you would say, like the guys who were actually like kind of pickup artist-esque types, you know what I mean? They were all about manipulating women. This was like their entire fucking gambit. In those circles where you're only interacting basically with guys whose profession is to manipulate women, basically, of course this is a flex. I have sex with underage. They didn't frame it like that. I have sex with young, beautiful, virgin women, the most desirable of all to these fucking guys, right? And so, what a fucking world. What a world to be spawned from. The Tate brothers are fascinating to me because they're so fucking self-interested. They are so authentic in their will to power, right? They truly are just so self-serving. It's wild to me. And yet people think that they're benevolent. There's really people out there who think that they're a force for fucking anything outside of themselves. I'm personally not convinced. I'm personally pretty fucking convinced that they are only serving number one. Nah, they're not red pill Goku. These dudes are predators. Yeah, I would agree with that appraisal completely. And I've framed it like this before. The thing is, I don't like to outright say it because it's like a little bit, you know, people interpret it
if
weird.
Sliz win.
What I'll say, my last comments that I'll make, by the way, about that like debate or whatever with the Dean Withers guy, is that there are different ways to debate, right? There's arguing on behalf of your side entirely, right? There's like basically debates where it's like two factions butting heads, and maybe one faction loses, one faction wins, one gets better publicity, whatever you'd say. That seemed to be the kind of lane that Dean Withers was operating in, okay? It's basically, he, in a way, right, is preaching to the choir to his own audience. Does this make sense? I think, in my opinion, you can totally feel free to disagree, right? But in my opinion, when you're going into these kinds of debates, the goal, most ideally, I would imagine, would be to actually convert as much of your opponent's audience as you can, okay? And so how would Dean Withers have potentially done this? In my opinion, it would be not to take the pure antagonistic angle, although I do think that Dean Withers did a good job, seemingly, of making Fuentes out to be a bit of a fucking idiot or someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. That does help, but the thing is that Dean Withers, he leaned basically against a lot of the frames he should have been leaning into, from what I can tell, right? Which is like, he was immediately going into the whole thing, basically completely opposing every fucking idea of Fuentes. When in reality, I think that you should do that. You should definitely, like, the vast majority of his fucking ideas are garbage, right? But by contrasting his fucking statements and plucking out the poison and presenting the poison and like giving credence to the small amount of coherence that might be present in what he's saying, but identifying the poison and really specifically ironing that out to his audience, basically convincing his own audience that this guy's fucking lying to you. You know what I mean? That this guy's a fucking scammer, that he is trying to poison you, that he is actually a piece of shit. And also, honestly, leaning into the whole frame of like, I'm fucking jacked. These guys are very aesthetically fucking fixated, okay? Very aesthetically fixated. These Groyper types. And to be fair, most humans, most people, as far as I've, encountered online, are very aesthetically fixated. I think it makes sense, right? Seeing is believing is a thing that a lot of people believe. And so that's why I keep fancy looking books around, because that makes you trust that I must be a very intelligent, wise young man who's got muscles, right? I'm not a debate coach, so let me know if you think that's bad advice. Online debates are gay? Yeah,